Hey, how is everybody? Lou from RV Habit. It's a short video on your RV is electric. So I keep my RV plugged in all the time when at home. I have a pedestal for my 30 amp power. And I came out the other day and everything was dead. My batteries were bone dead. None of the 12 volt was running. And I immediately thought maybe my converter crashed out. But then looking at my surge guard panel, lets me know what power is coming in. I noticed that was dead, so I knew right away I had a power problem, power coming into the RV. So I'm going to show you how I troubleshoot it, and hopefully you'll pick up some pointers that if you're out on that road, something like this will not ruin your vacation. And the first thing to do is to pick up a really inexpensive multimeter. This one's made by Innova. It's cheap, it's like 15 bucks. But don't let it intimidate you. You don't need to know how to use this, every number and dial. I'm going to show you there's just two things you're going to use here, and you'll be able to use this just to determine what your problem is. So for today on the meter, we're only going to be concerned with two things because we're testing AC voltage, and that's at ACV and this little Wi-Fi type symbol. It's for the Omega, but it's a continuity. It makes a sound if you get continuity. It's the only two settings we're going to use today. And if you were going to test DC, you'd put it on DC. Maybe I'll do another video on that. But again, you don't need to know how everything works. You're just going to put it on ACV. That'll give you a AC voltage reading. And then we're going to use continuity, and that'll just give you a tone if you have continuity. So the very first thing you're going to do if you have no power in your RV is find your power distribution box, and they're usually dark in color and kind of look like this. There's a couple different styles. You open it up and you'll see your 12 volt and your 120 volt. You're looking for the 120 volt because we have no power in the RV. And it looks just like your house breakers. It's exactly what they are. You're going to make sure none of these are tripped. And if you're not sure, turn them off and then turn them back on. That'll make sure that they reset if one happens to trip and you can't tell. As long as they're all okay and you still have no power, we'll move on to the next step. So now I'm inside the house, and this is my breaker panel, and I'm looking for the breaker for the RV, and mine's labeled RVTT. It's a 30 amp breaker, and I see that it's on. I turned it off, turned it back on just to make sure there's no problem with it. On the pedestal at a campground, it's usually right above the plug. But now I know that my breaker's not the issue. I'm going to go out to my pedestal and check if I have power there. So before I check this, I want to let you know, if you're not comfortable with electric, this electric can actually hurt you. This is 30 amps of 120 volts. So if you're not comfortable with any of this, please have someone that's qualified do it. But we're going to check now the plug itself to make sure I have power coming into the plug. So I want to reiterate, I am not an electrician. So you do all this at your own risk. I'm just showing you how I'm doing it. Again, I'm not an electrician. Again, if you're not comfortable with electric, please get someone qualified to do it. So this is my 30 amp pedestal at my house. We've checked the breaker, and that's good. So I should have power here. When you look at a 30 amp RV plug, you have a ground to the top, that's that round hole, and then you have a slot to the left that should be your power, and a slot to the right that should be your neutral. That's it. I say should because that's the way it should be wired, and when you're dealing with a campground, you never know if it's been wired incorrectly. So the first thing I'm going to do is the slot to the left. I'm going to take my positive probe and I'm going to stick it into there. Now I have the meter on AC voltage, so I should be able to read AC voltage. I take my negative probe and I'm going to touch the ground, and I'm getting 121.8 volts, so that's good. I know I have power from ground to power, right? So now I want to check my neutral, make sure I don't have a neutral problem. I'm going to take the negative probe, touch the neutral, and again I have 121.8. So I know this plug is not only wired correctly, I know it's delivering power, so my problem's not here. So let's move to the next step. So this is where the power from the power cord comes into the RV. It's a marine connection. You all know you unscrew it and you can unplug it, okay? And then you're going to have 2 slots, and the funny looking one with the L is your ground. So we're going to check if we have power to here. So with my power cord disconnected, I still have my multimeter on AC voltage. I'm going to take the ground and I'm going to stick it in here, and you got to make sure you can catch the clamp. Okay. Oop. I may have to hold this. You have one hand, right? Okay, so I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to check for power. And I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to stick it in the positive. I'm not getting anything. Let me just make sure on this side. I'm getting nothing. So right off the bat, I believe the power cord is probably the problem. But I got another way to check the power cord, and I'll show you that now. Now the best way to check if a power cord is good is continuity test. So I'm going to take my multimeter, and you're going to look for a little symbol that indicates sound for the Omega, but it almost looks like a Wi-Fi signal. I'll show it to you there. So what that means is when these 2 probes touch, I get a sound. In theory, if I touch the ground here and I touch the ground here, I make connection and I'll get a sound. So that's the first thing we're going to try. I'm going to hold it on the ground, and I'm getting continuity on the negative. Then I'm going to take it here to the next one, continuity right away. And then I'm going to take it here, and I got nothing. And that seems to be the problem. So it's the power prong. I'm not getting any continuity. It probably is broken somewhere here. This line, this sticks in the RV, and it's constantly bent down like that. This cord is 5 years old, so it's been through hell and back. So I've confirmed my cord is no good. So I'm going to get myself a new cord. I'm also going to buy an adapter. I'm going to show you the adapter I got to take this out of here so I don't get this problem anymore. So I went on Amazon, ordered a new cord, and I also ordered a right angle cord set adapter. This one's by Marine Co. Because it is a Marine Connection. Camco makes them. Camco was out of stock on Amazon, so I ended up with this one. And basically, what it is a 30 amp adapter, and it's Marine Connection to your standard 30 amp cord plug. It's basically a mimic of this. But what this is cool is I'm going to be able to plug this in, turn it, I'll lock it on there. And now I don't have that arch. It's a right angle adapter, and it's going to let the cord hang, and I shouldn't have that problem anymore. And the new cord I have is right here, and that'll plug in here like this. Twist it, and then just lock it on. And now I'm all set. I'll leave links to all of this below in the description, and I'll even leave a link to the cheap multimeter that I use, that Innova. That's a real nice one. But I hope you got some good pointers. Don't panic. Luckily, this problem wasn't inside my rig. It was outside the rig and very easily fixable. But as always, I appreciate you watching. Hope to see you out there.